Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SNS show. I'm Alessandro and this is
Sima.
All right, Sima, how's your day today?
My day was great. I did a lot of things, a lot of projects coming along. Can't wait to show everyone. How are you? How was your day?
Nice, thank you. I had a nice day. I had Mr. Vladimir Karpov today. We had a few lessons.
Oh my God.
Very nice. Now, right. Now, today, guys, we have a very special guest for you. With us today, we have Sergeant Major Bull, United States Marine Corps. Now, Sergeant Major Bull has been in the Marine Corps for many, many years. Now, today, he's going to be talking with us for two segments. We're going to be talking about leadership. And don't worry, guys, not just the military, the dance world as well. We'll be asking about general leadership questions and then mentality, of course, as to be a dancer, of course, and a Marine, you have to have very strong mentality. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Sergeant Major Bull. Hello, Sergeant Major.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing very well. How was your day today?
It was amazing. I got up, had my coffee, and immediately began training. I did, some working out, some physical training. So that was amazing. And other than that, just quality time with my two sons, and that was about it.
All right, very nice, Sergeant Major. So, Sergeant Major, let's get into it. Let me ask you, how important is it for students, followers, in this case Marines, to trust their coaches or leadership?
I mean, to get just right up front, I would say that it's vital to the relationship. But I would actually, respond with a question, like how important would it be for you to, and maybe, trust could be synonymous with maybe some other things, right? Like if you went into a gym and you wanted a personal trainer, who would you be looking for? You'd be looking for somebody that you'd pick out a guy or a girl and you'd say, that person has some things that I want. Let me go up to them and see if there's somebody that can train me. And that's, of course, in the world of physical fitness, but it could be anything. It could be military, it could be what you guys do, dancing. So the trust won't even be established unless the follower observes traits and characteristics that they think are attractive in that person, the leader.
Interesting. So, Sergeant Major, you mentioned these traits. Now, what are some of these traits that you like to demonstrate?
I think that the best example is leadership by example. I mean, without question. I say this all the time. I don't subscribe to the, don't judge me culture, because the reality is that we all judge each other. And I think it's actually a good thing. When I hear people say, don't judge me, what I take that to mean is don't be critical. I don't think it's good to be critical over, with one another. There's a big difference for me. But what do I mean by that? I mean, when you look at somebody, you can, you're making judgment calls from head to toe. They're physically fit. They take care of themselves. And physical fitness is a big deal because, especially being in the military, our body is our primary weapon. But when someone's physically fit, their uniform fits them well. They carry themselves with more confidence.
With professionalism.
They're much more upright. They're much more professional. Those are all things that get you in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And speaking of leadership, because you did bring this up a little bit, how can a coach, or in this case, a leader, be trusted to lead?
I think they have to be able to demonstrate it. I think it's something that really you have to be able to demonstrate that in your day-to-day duties, whatever that is. And so I think there needs to be a 360-degree feedback loop, right? And what do I mean by that? You're going to have people that are above you in position or whatever the case is that can observe you from close and afar. But then you're also going to have the person that you're leading. Because, it can be easy sometimes when you're quote unquote leading people to maybe abuse that a little bit. And I always tell my Marines, I tell people this, I think that the best leaders, the best counselors have the ability to meet the need of the person that they're counseling or that they're leading. Right?
I like that.
You want that personal trainer because you have your agenda. You're the consumer. You have things that you want, things that you think that you need. You know, you have to let East meet West. There has to be communication. So what do I mean by that? Your trainer is going to think the same thing about you. So we need to make sure that there's a mutual understanding before we ever get off on any foot. We definitely don't want to get off on the wrong foot. So those are some of the things I think are pretty important when it comes to that.
Go ahead.
I wanted to mention, would you say that communication, the way you communicate with one another, if you guys connect in that way, that's a key to trusting one another?
Absolutely. You know, good communication, it can never be overstated how important it is. I say quite often, nobody wants to be disrespected.
Right.
And I say that and I want to let that sink in because think about all the times that you probably have been disrespected. I know I have been disrespected. I didn't have to go up to that person and say, you know, I could care less if you respect me or not. And please verbalize that, you know, or whatever your actions may be toward me. You know, no, nobody does that. So it definitely starts with respect. And then, like I said, you have to establish a mutual understanding. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen two people use the same word and have totally different meanings in their own minds. I just come in and I just say, hey, you need to be a better leader. There needs to be more leadership. We're not leading. And I don't explain to you what I think that means. I don't give you maybe the foundational truth of, you know, how that may be defined in some doctrine somewhere or some publication somewhere. And you hear that, you have your own meaning. And we just go forward from there. And that's what I call getting off on the wrong foot. And so, you know, it's good to sit there and say, hey, this is what I think leadership is. What do you think it is? Okay, well, here's what the definition is. Can we all agree on this? All right, now let's move forward.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, if things were to go for the worst, if a student, Marine, follower, does not trust their coach or leader, how should that be dealt with?
It really, I think it's situational. My number one question would be, why do you not trust that person? And there's a number of different factors, right? I could have trust issues. Maybe my trust has been violated by leaders in the past, and now it's difficult for me moving forward to open that door again to whoever that future leader is, right? Maybe it's never been violated, and maybe that current leader has done something to really, you know, offend me, or they haven't you know, had my best interest at heart. And so I think it's situational, though. I mean, that's a tough one to answer because it's just as different as all three of us are.
Right. Sorry, Major. Right.
And I was going to say, Alessandro, I think it is a difficult situation because if I'm thinking about myself right now, I wouldn't want to stick with someone that I can't trust. Whether it's I have my own trust issues or if it's because I don't trust this person. I think that goes into it a lot as well.
Yes, agreed, Sima, with the whole factor. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's always in a different situation. Or maybe the facts, maybe one day with someone might have a good day, someone may have a bad day. So,
right.
I think that may also play into factor. Now, Sergeant Major, I'd love to talk about mentality. Now, as a dancer, let alone, first of all, Marines, of course, Marines have to have a huge, tough mentality. Now, of course, I'm not comparing dancers to Marines, but dancers do have to have good dancers, passionate dancers, dancers that want to win have to have a good mentality. So what is your definition of the mentality of a winner?
Yeah, this one, I talk a lot about this. So it sounds a little bit maybe cliche, but winners, their mentality, it's all about winning. It's not about losing. You don't pick a fight
whatever it takes.
You plan on losing. You don't pick that fight. You pick all the fights you plan on winning. And what do winners all have in common? Obviously, they win, right? Sure. But they have this uncanny ability to figure it out.
To find the way.
We say in the military, in the Marine Corps, no plan ever survives first contact. I'm not saying don't make the plan. I'm not saying don't prepare for the fight. I'm just telling you, when that first bullet comes whizzing past your head, the plan's out the door. And now you're resting completely on that person's ability to figure it out, to never quit, you know? That's what I think.
Now, to a little bit translate for our dancers, so when you're on the floor and it's time to compete and time to bring it, you can't think about technical qualities. You can't think about, oh wait, my teacher said to do my arm this way. You just have to go out and do it. That emotion that you have, everybody watching you, lights, camera, action, you just gotta go out and do it with your dance partner. You guys have to connect, and as the Sergeant Major says, just do it. Sima, what are you thinking?
No, I agree 100%. And then I know a lot of dancers. I've had these types of moments myself, but then I kind of taught myself out of it because I came here to win. And I did not come here to, what happens is I would think, oh, I have to beat this couple and this couple. That's not going to do anything. Okay, I beat this couple, that's fourth. And then, okay, I'm going to be third, but I'm not going to be first. So I've had that. I kind of caught myself and I'm like, why am I just thinking about this one person? Like, what if I then do go internationally, which I have, and, you know, I'm not going to think, oh, I have to beat this one couple. I have to think I got to do the best that I can and I got to really try and go for that first. So, I mean, 100%, I agree. And I think a lot of the time it's easier said than done, I believe. I don't know, Sergeant Major, is it easier said than done?
It's always easier said than done. I mean, that's all we're doing right now is talking. You know,
Right.
It's tough to put this stuff, you know, into action and to be a doer, you know, and it's kind of crazy that you say dancing, and I know you guys are dancers. I've used that, you know, analogy before. The dance has to go on. Once those lights come on, the cameras come on, and it's action, there is no get backs. There's no turning back. You have to keep going. You have to work through it. You can't freeze. You know, we do a lot of things that aren't just war fighting type stuff. We have a lot of ceremonies, and they're a big deal.
Protocols and procedures, the SOP, yes.
Absolutely. And, you know, kind of to your point about, you know, maybe that fear that you're feeling, that's why it's called courage, because you feel the fear, but you keep going anyways.
Right. Now, Sergeant Major, I'd like to go just a little bit off script because you triggered a question. Now, let's say, for instance, a person, Marine dancer, average, whatever, and they're going through a rough time, and let's go ahead and say they're a little bit depressed, and let's just define it as a loser mentality in the sense, because we're talking about winners. So if we have winners, we have losers. So how can we take a loser and make him or her a winner? How can we make that mentality become a winner mentality?
Well, I think you got to get to the root of why they feel that way. You know, you really do. I had a conversation like this the other day with a young man, and my question to him was, if I had a magic wand and I could remove any problem from your life, what would it be? Let's just say I could remove all of them. Would I be able to convince you that you would never have another problem for the rest of your life? He's like, he laughed. He's like, no, you know? I said, okay, so then what's the real question here? He kind of looked at me with this blank stare, and I said, the real question is, we know we're going to have problems. We don't know what's around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come, the question is, how are you going to deal with it?
How are you going to react? Of course.
How are you going to react to that problem? Because I'm not saying that it's always going to be gumdrops and lollipops and you should jump up and click your heels. I'm not saying that it's going to be like that. But one thing that we can't do is just freeze. We can't just, and on the opposite side of that too, on the other side of the spectrum, you can't always be optimistic. Optimism can be can be deadly. It can be a killer. It can, because, and listen, and I'm very optimistic, but optimism doesn't serve us in certain situations, right? Let's say I'm a prisoner of war, and I'm hopeful, and I'm believing, and I'm optimistic. We're getting released in 30 days, and it doesn't happen. 30 days comes and goes, and guess how I'm feeling? I'm let down. I'm deflated, and then I'm believing again in another 30 days, and then another 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I slowly die inside. So optimism can be deadly as well.
Wow. Yes, of course. All right, guys. Now, so this next question, we have many different answers to. Guys, relax. I know I ask this all the time, but this is it's my favorite question, guys. This is a Sergeant Major. We have to ask him. All right, Sergeant Major, what is the difference between discipline and motivation?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a huge difference. It's not even, we're not even on the same planet right now. Oh my gosh. Motivation. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to be motivated. I mean, and that's like, how easy is it to take the floor, do all your exercises, right? Do everything your trainer is telling you to do, when you're motivated.
Right.
Right? Because, your heart is singing. You've had your coffee, right? But what about when you're not motivated?
Correct.
Right.
It's Thursday. Maybe it's Friday. It's 4:00 in the morning. Your alarm
raining.
Right. And that's one of the worst sounds when you're tired is your alarm again.
Yeah.
And it goes off. That's what discipline is. Discipline is Thursday night. I've made it up in my mind. I'm getting up Friday morning at 4:00. I don't care what happens. I don't care how I feel. And my alarm goes off. I don't hit the snooze button. I pop out of bed, my feet hit the floor, and I start going. In the military, we like to say it's instant and willful obedience to orders. You do it, right? But it's more than that. It's doing the things that you don't want to do. It's doing the things you don't like doing, when you don't like doing it, and when you don't want to do it. It's doing the things that you don't even understand why you got to do it. Like, what is the point of this? Why is this even a drill, an exercise? Mm-hmm. Why do we have to do this again? But you don't say any of that. You swallow it and you do it.
Of course, in the military, you don't ask why, correct?
That's correct.
It's so connected with dance. Like, I'm just listening in. I don't know much about like the military and stuff. So this is really nice to hear the perspective. But in dance, it's the same thing. We do have our own drills that we do. Like, we have to do basics that, like, oh my gosh, I'm already a national champion. I've been to world championships. Why am I still doing basics? Why am I still practicing them? But then at the end, the result that happens when you start doing more complicated steps, it's just completely different. And then, okay, I see why I keep practicing it, because it's still not fully developed, and it never will be. I just have to keep doing it. It will help. So I guess like I'm looking at it from that perspective, and I'm thinking, wow, that's so true. And you know what? I know we're talking about motivation, like being a temporary thing, but right now I'm so motivated to never.
I know, right? I go run 4 miles right now.
Yeah,
See, but now we get back to, you know, the trust in your trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you trust your trainer, it's easier to, you know, do the things that you don't want to do. But like I always say, you're the only liver of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't live a single second of your life for you. And if you're anything like me, you have to experience some of that stuff. You have to experience it. And, you know, so when you have that trust in your trainer, it's like that person has probably competed more times. They've practiced more hours. They've done more drills. And they know what you need.
Mm-hmm.
That's they have their best interest. Mm-hmm.
So wonderfully said. It's completely true. I wish sometimes my coach could be here 24/7 and telling me what to do all the time. It's easier that way. However, I feel, you know, my coach has done so much already for me in such a short amount of time a day. And yeah, so I see the difference. You know, what's interesting, Alessandro did mention this. We had this conversation already before about discipline motivation. He introduced.
And do you know who I got it from? Do you know who I got it from? Sergeant Major Bull.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So never mind. It just circles back to you, Sergeant Major. But we did have this conversation, and I opened it opened my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, Alessandro, this is the smartest thing you've ever said to me. And Alessandro, no, by all means, I'm just saying.
Oh, no problem.
I was just looking, I was like, wow, I never even thought of it that way. I never thought that motivation is so temporary and in the moment, and just like a passion, like a momentary passion, but then like discipline is what really gets people up and going. So,
yeah, so you know, I was actually, I got passed up for promotion to Sergeant Major twice, two years in a row.
wow.
And I had some administrative errors in my record and a few other things. But I will tell you that it was tough. It was a punch in the stomach. And I thought I might have to retire earlier than what I wanted to. And when I would drive to work, I was in my head. I would be not motivated at all. And I would think that to myself. I'd think, are you really who you claim to be? Or are you just Mr. Motivated and inspirational and whatever else you want to call it when everything goes your way? But when it doesn't go your way, though, oh my gosh, now you want to take your ball and go home. Because there's a lot of people that are counting on you. They need you. And you don't even know where they're at emotionally, physically, or spiritually on this day. But it's your job to go find out. And I would tell myself that. And then boom, I'd kick into gear. And I'd just put all my stuff aside, because as a leader, that's critical. And I've had this conversation with many subordinate level leaders. I told a guy this, I wasn't nice at all. I said, you will put aside every personal, professional, or any other problem in your life. You will not talk about it in front of your subordinates. And you will go downstairs and you will be a pillar of strength, a beacon of hope, and a ray of light for everyone down there. And if I hear that you're not, I'll leave you where I found you.
Wow.
Needless to say, I didn't have any more issues with the guy, but
you're probably scared of the Death Star Major.
Well, he had never had, and he'd been in the Marine Corps almost 15 years. He had never had anyone be that clear with him up to that point in his career. You know, you don't have to get in someone's face. You don't have to cuss at them, whatever the case. I didn't attack him as a person, call him any names. I don't play that game. I'm just going to tell you clearly, this is what I expect. This is what you will do. It's not negotiable. Now go forth.
I like it. I like it.
Honest. Very honest. I think that's what it was.
No sugarcoating.
Yeah. Sounds like our Russian parents, honestly.
I was about to say, it sounds like Katerina and Vladimir are coaches.
Sounds like my parents. I mean, I full honesty in my life, but
I'll be honest though, some people need a little sugarcoating.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
What you said? Can I elaborate?
Yes. What do you mean, Sergeant Major?
Yeah, think about the person that endlessly beats themselves up. I'm a piece of crap. I'm no good. I can't do this right. And in your mind, as a leader, as a trainer, you may be thinking, You do mess it up probably more than anybody, but you don't say that because they're already attacking themselves. What do you say? You say something like, hey, listen, don't say that about yourself. You can do this. Okay. Look, let's get back on the thing. We're going to keep working it. Your tone is a little softer. You're not as direct. You're helping encourage them, you know? Whereas somebody who's maybe this just bravado, chauvinistic, whatever, you got to take them down a couple pegs. You're like, hold up, you ain't all that. You messed up however many times, you know, so you ain't the best. I don't know, you know, and you got to take them down a little bit. That's why I say a good trainer, a good counselor, a good leader has the ability to meet the need of the person being led or being trained. Can you identify where that person is at on the emotional, physical, and mental spectrum of life? It's hard.
Of course.
Well, it's hard, and especially like a lot of people are their harshest critics. Like, we're our harshest critics, you know? So I think you do have to see if a person is really putting themselves down, or if they're like, you know, or their nose is like way up here rather. So that's interesting, and it is difficult, I believe, as a leader, as a coach. I think it is difficult to just kind of find what is this person, where they are right now. So,
of course, yes.
Yeah, ask yourself, you know, you're probably great at being your own worst critic, but how good are you at giving yourself a little break? Or is it never good enough?
Yeah.
Just a question.
Not bad. With Russians, I can tell you now, it's never good enough. But back to the seriousness, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
It is a great point, actually. Wow. My eyes are just...
I know. I'm like, hold on. When was the last time I gave myself like...
And when I'm supposed to be kicking my butt some more too, you know? Sometimes I have those moments. I'm like, girl, get up. Do your thing. You've done more before. You can do it again, you know? Especially...
Yeah, sometimes the most toxic thing can be success.
Yeah.
Because you can't be taught anymore. Who are you to tell me? Look how successful I've been. And you won't say that, but you'll think it. Look at all the competitions I've won. Where have you been? You haven't even been anywhere. You have effectively closed that door to effective communication, when the reality is, what do you have to lose anyways? Why don't you leave the door open to everybody? Because they just might blow your hair back.
Wow. Agreed. Now, with our final question, Sergeant Major, I have a little bit of a story. Now, I'd like to speak a little bit about a leader I've had in my life recently within the past year. His name is, he's a Marine. He's a retired Marine, Lieutenant Colonel Armando Avila. He is the husband of my coach. He was an HMX pilot, so he flew the president, President Bush, the second one. And so the sir, I call him the sir. The sir and I, he has given me so many tools to succeed. I probably shouldn't say this to everybody, but here we are. I'm gonna say it. I was contemplating possibly dropping out of college, but don't worry, I haven't. Of course, I had the help of my coach and my parents, but what really made me wake up and smell the coffee was what the sir said to me. The sir took me aside and he tells me, Ale, listen, you may feel like right now you don't need this tool, which is the degree. You may feel like it is useless. But let's say, for instance, scenario, I want to join the Marines as an officer, or I want to get a job. At least you have this tool in your backpack. At least you have it ready to go. Because let's say the moment comes, worst comes, and you need a degree in your life. You have to go 4 years, and you have to wait 4 years to get your degree. So with this story, so shout out to the sir. So thank you so much for everything you've done to me. But with this story, let me ask you this. From the perspective of a leader, when you feel passionate about a certain follower, how do you make sure they succeed? How do you know you are giving them the right tools?
Good question.
The way that you know that you're giving them the right tools is because, you know, you've probably seen it and you've probably dealt with it. It's not always the case. What I like to tell the people that I lead is that you don't make decisions that will have lifelong impacts based on short-term circumstances. And, you know, back to your point about discipline, you know, discipline is giving up instant gratification to take the path less traveled and do the things that you know are good. You know, I'm not going to say that there haven't been successful people that dropped out of college. You just don't hear a lot of people bragging about it. Like, hey, man, I dropped out of college and look at me. Mm-hmm. Why is that? You hear about people that, you know, didn't complete it and then they go back and finish it. And it's, you know, it's as simple as knowing that you're right where you're supposed to be. And I'm not saying it's going to feel good, and I'm not saying it's going to feel right, but I win and I'm right. And I know I'm right because the ultimate proof is you're there. You aren't somewhere else. You're right where you need to be. You know, our heart, though, can lead us astray.
Wow,
when people always talk about, I didn't feel this, or I felt that, or my heart this, or my heart that. I'm not saying never listen to it. I'm not saying that, but it will lead us astray. And those are the kind of people that are like, to me, they're like the wind. They don't know where they came from or where they're going to. And it's just the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's getting your followers to open their mind. Because a lot of times, let's be real, our minds are already made up. I have followers come in my office, Marines come in my office all the time. They already have their mind made up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About how they're going to deal with like a certain situation.
Yeah. Oh, let's say that I'm getting out of the Marine Corps. Okay, what are you going to do? You know, and I take them down this path. And that's why I tell them, don't tell me what's pushing you away. Tell me what's pulling you away. If you don't want to do it because, oh, I don't like this guy, this girl mistreated me, this unit isn't a good one. Okay, well, what are you going to do on the other side? There should be something pulling you out there. You should be telling me I got this job lined up, you know, with this much money, and, you know, I'm going to be living over here and life's going to be great. But that's not what you hear. It's all circumstantial. And none of it's goal-oriented. I just want to end this pain. And in no way do I know that over here is going to be any better.
Nice.
No, that makes sense. Sorry, we're just processing it in.
I know, I'm over here. I'm just like, wow.
I'm also like envisioning
a lot of stuff, I know.
It is, but it's something that, like you mentioned, that it's just something that no one really thinks about. Like, I've just never thought this way. And I catch myself now thinking, you know, I've had moments like that where I'm like, you know, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to get out of this because I'm tired of it. I don't think it's going to do anything. Okay, but what do I have lined up that's going to save me from it? And I'm a very safe person. I like to think outside of the box and stuff, but I like being comfortable and in control of my situation. So when I have these moments, even as a person that's like in control of myself and my life and whatever, I don't think about it that way, that, oh my gosh, do you really have something that's going to support you when you're out of this? Is there something that's taking you that you want to go that direction? So that's why I'm like sitting here, I'm like, wow, I need to start thinking a little bit like this. Not a little, a lot.
All
So
right, well.
Sergeant Major for that, really.
My pleasure. As always, it is my pleasure.
All right, Sergeant Major Bull, thank you so much for joining us. We have learned so much from you, and I'm sure the viewers have as well. You bring so much to the table with all of your mentality, your perspectives, of course, with your impressive and astonishing career in the Marine Corps. Sergeant Major, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Sergeant Major. It was great speaking with you and having you on here. And, you know, all the information that you gave us, your thoughts, it's all very general. So I think this could connect to a lot of people. And so thank you so much for being on here with us.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you guys for asking me. You know, from the bottom of my heart, I honestly am a regular guy. I started off from, you know, a normal city in Northern California. And here I am. I did my best to listen before I spoke. I took a lot of notes, and I always kept an open mind. So thank you.